Hi everyone and happy new year. I hope you're all doing well. Full transparency, I have already filmed this video literally last week before New Year's Eve, was really organised, thought I was on it, but then when I watched the footage back there was no sound, so clearly my microphone didn't work or wasn't switched on. Something went wrong. And the reason why I'm leading with that in today's video is because we're going to talk a lot about the reality of things versus what we hope things are going to be. We're going to talk a lot about not having perfectionism and how things don't always go to plan. It's not to say it's going to be a super negative video at all. I'm going to be giving you lots of advice, food for thought and tips of how to survive January, how to survive Blue Monday, how to just get through this month and have a positive start to the year. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Katie. I am a therapist based in Manchester and I've been in private practice now for about 2.5 years, 3 years maybe. Can't really keep track of the years, to be honest. I'm not even used to saying 2025 yet. If you're interested in some of my other videos, I make videos on TV characters, I do TV reactions as well, and I make other mental health related videos. So please subscribe if you're interested in seeing more. Please give this video a like if you're someone that is struggling in January, if you find this video useful, and please follow me on Instagram as well because I post a lot of short form content over there around how to find the right therapist, how to make the most out of therapy. My aim over there is to make therapy seem a lot less scary and more accessible. So please give me a follow as well. All the information about me is down there. I will also be doing timestamps if there's a particular struggle that you're having, if there's a particular topic that you're looking for in this video, there will be timestamps down below as well to make finding that a lot easier for you. Without wasting any more time, let's get into it. The first thing I want to say is a lot of this is kind of made up by company, society, not New Year, obviously, like every year we obviously have a new year, but New Year's resolutions, how people approach the new year, that can be personal to you. You don't have to be dictated by what everyone else chooses to do. You don't have to set New Year's resolutions. There's a lot of expectations around this time, and I just want to start off by saying that, like, you know, I'm sure many people have a great start to the year or have a really good year that don't make any New Year's resolutions at all. Another thing is Blue Monday is a made up thing by holiday companies to encourage you to book a holiday in this time. They usually do like January deals so that you have something to look forward to, because people tend to be feeling a little bit miserable around this time and want to have something to look forward to later on in the year. So please don't get swept up in a lot of what we see online. I'm hoping that this video kind of breaks everything down for you and makes it feel a lot less overwhelming. So I want to start off by talking about what can happen around this time, which is a lot of reflection. I'm going to start off by talking about the reflection that happens around the year before. So people tend to very naturally think about what have they achieved in the year prior, what has happened this year, what are the good memories, the not so good memories. We see a lot of highlights on Instagram of the amazing things that people have got up to this year, and it can be a lot. It can be very overwhelming. Something that my clients say to me is that they become very hyper aware of where they're at in their life. So they become conscious, for example, of their age, or they become conscious of the fact that they're single. But a couple of months ago, they weren't so conscious being single, or they were quite like happy, or they start thinking of where they're at in their career. I haven't had a promotion this year. Should I have had a promotion this year? Am I stuck in a dead-end job? That kind of thing. I would really encourage you to be conscious of the time of year, conscious of what you're absorbing online, conscious of the comparison that's probably happening, and all the kind of information and expectations that you are absorbing. I would encourage you to not beat yourself up for where you're at. I would meet yourself where you are at in terms of the context of your life and what's happened to you this year or not happened. A mixture of not beating yourself up for what you don't have, what you haven't achieved, and practicing gratitude for what you have. So practicing gratitude for the people in your life, the things that you survived, the achievements, big or small. Again, when we think of achievements, we tend to think big. We tend to think of, I read 50 books, I climbed a mountain, I got a promotion, I passed my driving test. Quite big things, and that's great. If you have any of those, really have a think and definitely make a note of that and feel that sense of achievement. Certainly not trying to take that away. But you can also think of smaller things, like perhaps you spoke up in class and you'd never done that before. Perhaps you made a new friend. Perhaps you did something that was a bit out of your comfort zone. Perhaps you just got through something you had a really difficult time. Now in January, reflecting on the fact that you got through it, that things are looking a little bit better. So anything that's relevant to you, and I think that word relevant is super important. When we start getting caught up in what other people are doing and comparing, then the stuff that we're thinking on and reflecting on isn't relevant, because we're thinking about relationships that we don't have, or a career that they have versus the one that obviously we're on, and different age groups, and we get swept up in what we're seeing versus the reality of our own lives. So practicing gratitude is a way to really sort of ground yourself in that reality, and it doesn't have to be over the top, it doesn't have to be small. I actually have a whole video on how to practice gratitude if it's new to you, and I will link that down below. It should be popping up on your screen as well. So I would really check that out if you're like, okay, I want to practice gratitude, but I have no idea where to start and it all feels a little bit unnatural. So definitely check that out. Something else that I think is good for this time of year is practicing the art of letting go. What can be really good about New Year's, because obviously it's a very difficult time, is this sense of an ending. So when we've really struggled, we've just not been feeling so good, perhaps going through a breakup, things haven't gone quite to plan, or you've fallen out with somebody, anything really. It's not to say that it all just goes away just because it's January. That's the trap that we can fall into of it's a new year, new me, I'm gonna feel great, this is gonna go away. If you're going through a breakup or grieving, it's not gonna go away. You're still gonna feel upset, you're still gonna have down days, but there is this sense of it's an opportunity to leave it in the previous year. Not so much of grief, obviously, because that is an ongoing process, but things that you're more able to leave in the previous year can be a really good feeling of leaving part of it in the past and looking forward to the future. So it's that balance of practicing gratitude of where you're at now, practicing gratitude of the good, and letting go of the bad, letting go of what didn't serve you, what didn't work out, negative feelings, negative thought patterns, and sort of drawing a line under it rather than taking it with you. It's like an energy shift. There's this sense of I'm not going to take this with me into the new year. I'm going to leave it behind as best I can. I think that's the important caveat, is that you're still human. You're still going to have the days where you're struggling. You're still going to be annoyed about the thing or upset about the thing. So in a human way, we are practicing the art of letting go. And linked to that is practicing forgiveness as well. I think that's a really good thing to try and do in January. If someone, obviously context dependent, but if something's been really getting to you or wound you up, perhaps it's a colleague or a parent. I think Christmas obviously can be quite a difficult time for people. There can be a lot of family drama or relationship issues. There's something about the art of letting go and forgiving as well heading into the new year, so that you're not carrying the weight of that with you. That can be a really beneficial thing. Is there somebody that you can forgive? You don't have to do it in person. It can just be more of a mental thing of I'm forgiving that person, I'm letting this go. That can make you feel a bit lighter in January rather than carrying the weight of something that's happened over Christmas or before that at some point during the last year. So practicing forgiveness can be another tip for you if you're looking for ways to shift your energy in this month. It really is treating it like a fresh start. That's what we're talking about here, this kind of fresh start, but not in a naive way where we're forgetting about the fact that life still goes on. I think that is the biggest trap that people fall into that leads to a lot of disappointment. There is this whole I'm going to be a new me this year, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be this person. And is it realistic? Is it attainable? Does it sort of go against who you are as a person? That if I start saying to myself, I'm going to be somebody who is really outdoorsy, I'm determined this year I'm going to be really outdoorsy. Well, I'm going to fail at that because I'm not. First of all, I live in the UK, I live in Manchester, and at the moment it's incredibly difficult to be outdoorsy because it's miserable. It's, you know, the first time I filmed this video, it was a really nice day, which is so annoying. So it was like really good lighting and that kind of crisp, sunny winter day. We've not had a day like that since, and it's raining right now, snowed yesterday, it's windy. But even beyond that, I'm in my 30s now and I have never been an outdoorsy kind of girl. I'm not going to be. So that, as a kind of part of the new version of me that I want to launch this year, is silly because it's just not going to happen. Now, do I want to go on more walks and get outside and get some fresh air as someone that works from home a lot? Yes, that's different. And I'm going to talk more about goal setting and stuff like that a little bit later. But really what I'm talking about is, again, that fresh start in a way where it's a fresh start, letting go, looking forward, but in the context of you and in the context of your life. Another thing that I'd recommend is time off social media, or just reviewing who you follow. January, I think, can be really difficult because we are bombarded, as I said before, with the highlight reels, the achievements, the I'm going to do this year, the ins and the outs, and even that can be quite triggering for people because we're comparing, or should I be putting that on my out list? Should I be putting that on my in list? By the way, if you're someone, and I'm someone that posts on social media around this time of what I've achieved and what I'm looking forward to, lots of different things like that. So I'm not knocking doing that. I'm just saying be mindful of what's getting to you and maybe mute that person, unfollow if it's like a celebrity, if you feel like you can, any influencers that are making you feel bad about yourself or encouraging something that feels a bit overwhelming, like if you're feeling bombarded by like loads of fitness content and going to the gym and it's making you feel like rubbish because yes, you've done like a yoga video at home and you felt really good about that, but now you feel rubbish about it because you're being told that you should be joining the gym and doing A, B, C, and D. So notice and action is the key thing there around social media. And notice if you're comparing yourself with somebody that is leading a completely different life to you, and remind yourself that a lot of what we're seeing is not real, it's curated, it's filtered, it's edited, it's the highlights of someone's life. And the final thing that I want to say about reflection on the year previously is that if the only thing that you did last year was get through it and survive and you made it to January, that's absolutely fine. That is absolutely okay, and well done you. Like, that is massive as well. And I think that's really important because, again, we're bombarded with all the different things that people have been doing, have done, and I think there's something really amazing about just sort of making it to this month, getting through, reaching this year of our lives, no matter where you're at in your life. So I think even just writing that in your gratitude journal or saying it to yourself is enough. You don't need to add anything else. Okay, now I want to move on to New Year's resolutions, goal setting, vision boards, all of that kind of thing. So again, we're seeing a lot of this in January. We're seeing a lot of people's goals, what they want out of the year. I think it can be really empowering for people to set goals, set things that they want to achieve, think of where they want to be by the end of the year, that kind of thing. So again, not trying to take that away from people, but I also think it can be a bit overwhelming as well. It can be a bit sort of like, should I be doing that? How many New Year's resolutions should I do? What do I need to change? And honestly, if nothing comes up naturally for you, that is fine. If you're sort of content with where you're at and sort of the habits that you're building or have already built or whatever it is, you don't have to have a New Year's resolution. You don't have to set yourself different aims and goals to have. It's absolutely fine. I think if you are someone though that does want to, there's ways that are a bit more productive to do it and a bit less overwhelming. So first of all, don't set yourself too many. I have done this before. I used to be the person that would I would do like a whole list of New Year's resolutions. I want to do this and I want to be that and I want to give up this and and it would be so long that it was too much. It was way too much. Don't fall into that trap. I would pick like 3 max if you're doing like New Year's resolutions. You can break those down into maybe little like bite-sized things, but don't do a whole list. There should be at least 3 core ones that you're focusing on. And yes, if you've got other ones that you're sort of like vaguely thinking of and stuff like that, that's fine. But I would aim for having just like 3 that you're like, actually, these are the 3 that I really want to achieve, so that you don't get too overwhelmed. I think vision boards are great because it's usually just a representation of what you'd like to bring into your life. It can be so vague. I like that about it, that it can be like colours or pictures of things that represent something, and I like the ones that it's like your interpretation of it. Like another person looking at the vision board might not really understand what, you know, some of the things mean. I think that's good, because I think keeping it vague actually can be better. Keeping it broad can be better. So doing a vision board and obviously putting it somewhere that you're looking at every day, but keep in mind that it's supposed to make you feel positive, not negative. So if you're making a vision board that when you then put on your like door, and that every time you see it, you're like, oh, I still haven't done that, I feel really bad, then, you know, that's not ideal. You should probably either take it down or make a new one. It's supposed to be something that's motivating and uplifting and exciting. If it's not that, then maybe you've either aimed too high, put too much on there, or it just doesn't really connect with you. Perhaps what you thought you wanted has now changed. So a vision board doesn't have to stay the same. Like, you can change it, you can update it, you can edit it. That's why I like to do them online. If I'm doing one at all, I don't always do one, but if I do one, I like to be able to look at it on my computer, so I'm not looking at it every day, and also make sure that like I'm reviewing it rather than looking at it and thinking, what haven't I done yet? What, you know, I'm such a failure. It's more just like, actually, is that relevant anymore? Is that realistic for me this year? So vision boards can be great. I also really love this thing that people do, which is picking one word to represent what they want for the year. I love that because, again, it's not specific. It's not like I need to do this, I need to do that. It's more of a broader, vaguer thing. So an example is, I did this a couple of years ago after I did the year where I had like a whole list of New Year's resolutions, and it was all rooted in perfectionism and trying to change basically everything that I am. And as you can imagine, that did not end well for me. So what I did the year after, or perhaps a couple of years after, is I did this word of intention, and mine was peace. And that worked so well for me, because breaking that down, that meant going to therapy. That meant really reviewing my relationships in terms of what energy I had around me. Am I in relationships, whether it's romantic or friendship or family, that are really stressing me out and causing a lot of conflict? Work-life balance, like, you know, do I feel at peace when I'm at home? What's my environment like? So as you can see, that links into different areas of your life, like career, home, relationships, but it's just this one word to kind of focus on, rather than a list of achievements that you want to have ticked off by the end of the year. And honestly, by the end of that year, my life wasn't perfect. I wasn't completely at peace, but I certainly had a lot more peace mentally. Like, I felt a lot lighter. I felt like a lot had shifted in my life. A lot of subtle changes had been made. So when I reviewed that goal, rather than looking at a list of New Year's resolutions that I didn't keep beyond January or even that, what happened was I looked at the word peace and thought, yeah, actually, I do feel a lot more at peace. So maybe that is something that could work a bit better for you, is thinking of a word that really represents where you want to be by the end of the year. But in general, my advice with New Year's resolutions, and the reason that people give up so quickly in January, is because they aim too high, or they even set it in a month that's unrealistic. So like, I'll give you an example. Dry January is really achievable for me because I have no plans in January. I have no birthdays, I have no big parties, I have no concerts. So that is something that I've said to myself that I'm going to do. If I was to say something that is unrealistic, that is going to happen not straight away, is I really want to reduce my sugar intake. I am just someone that eats a lot of chocolate and just, you know, consumes a lot of sugar. If I was to go cold turkey in January, I would have already failed by now. We had loads of leftover Christmas chocolate. I'm not going to throw out, sorry. I feel like it would have really affected me to just be like, that's it, I'm cutting out everything. I think I would have really struggled with that. So I'm reducing each day. I'm trying to bring in new things to replace it as well, like fruit and things like that. But not every day is different, not every day is perfect. I also want to reduce my caffeine intake. And again, I went cold turkey last January with the caffeine, and I found that really hard. I still achieved it, I think, but still, it was like I achieved it, but at what cost? Like it was just really difficult. Didn't even get a good sense of achievement that much, really. And whereas this time I'm now alternating my days. So I'm having, like, I had a coffee today, but I didn't have a coffee yesterday. You've got to meet yourself where you're at. You've got to break it down. I'm also leaving some stuff till February. I've also got other things that I want to do, but I'm not doing it all in the 1 month. Like, that is just mad. So don't be afraid to leave things for February. This whole video is about how January is a tough month for lots of different reasons. Do we really want to add to that by being like, no sugar, no alcohol, no coffee, I'm going to hit the gym 6 times a week, I am going to diet, all of that in such a miserable month where we want to be nourishing our like bodies and being gentle and stuff like that. And that leads on to the next thing I want to talk about, which is please leave extreme things completely. So like detoxes that people do, extreme diets, hitting the gym every single day. This is where I see people do damage, because detox, you crash. Going to the gym every day, you might get an injury. Extreme diets, it's just not sustainable. So instead, focus on healthy habits building, and as I just spoke about, like reducing things and cutting down. But healthy habit building is like, if you're someone that wants to start going to the gym, then yeah, absolutely look at any deals that are happening. Arrange like a personal trainer, arrange like a tour of that gym so you know what you're doing. Perhaps do some research online of like what workouts you want to be trying, because there's so many different machines and stuff like that. Maybe go along to a class. Maybe your friend has like a bring a friend thing that you can go with them. That's how I found my gym, is I went along with a friend to a class, really liked it, sort of went from there. So it doesn't have to be boom, like go. Extreme diets I don't think work. I think it can just be quite dangerous. Like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert on this. I just think you've got to be careful and do things at a slower pace. And it's more about building habits up rather than like taking everything away, where then you're just feeling miserable and it's not having a good impact on your mental health either. It's also okay to do nothing. After a really busy festive period, it's okay to rest. We're kind of still in the hibernating months. So January is a really difficult month to be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go on loads of walks and do A, B, C and D. I'm a big believer that it's okay to take it really easy, slow things down, slow down the pace of everything, as well as maybe introducing more healthier choices. But I think a slower pace rather than go is definitely better. Some healthy things that I would recommend in January though is getting some sunlight. It gets dark in the UK at like 3 p.m. So to me, that means like getting out in the morning, going for a walk, getting fresh air. Again, if it doesn't happen every single day, that's fine. But aiming to sort of see sunlight, it's good for your sleep. Aiming to get some vitamin D, and if not, taking like a vitamin D supplement, because obviously it is so dark at the moment. Bringing in movement to your body, whether that is yoga at home, just a short walk, as I said. Doesn't have to be anything major, but just making sure you're looking after yourself during this time. I would treat this as like, it's a difficult month. We're all feeling probably a bit unhealthy post the festive period. So what can you do to just feel a bit better? And that's the aim, rather than thinking I need to do this by the end of the year. It's more like, what does my body need in January? What does my mind need in January? And that, I think, is a better approach. Another topic that I want to cover is like dating and social isolation and that kind of thing. I actually only recently found out that we had like Dating Sunday, which was Sunday the 5th of January. So we've already had it, but basically apparently that's like the biggest surge of people downloading the dating apps like Hinge and Tinder and Bumble, and the most sort of traction. A lot of like messages get sent, a lot of replies, that kind of thing, and which I found really interesting, and it made me reflect on why. And I think there's probably lots of different reasons. I imagine one of the reasons is, as I mentioned before, the people that are single that have become more conscious of being single around New Year and Christmas, because it's very focused on connection, togetherness, being around like loved ones, and that comparison might have triggered something. A lot of people will have the New Year's resolution to get back into the dating game, which is obviously absolutely fine. And I also wonder about just loneliness in general in January and wanting something else to do. A lot of people will be doing dry January, and obviously dates and going out with somebody, going for a walk with somebody is kind of a good opportunity to not only meet new people, but also do something a bit different, get out of the house. I also think a Sunday is a day where you're kind of more on your phone, so it does all kind of make sense. But I just thought that was really interesting. And if that's you, if you're somebody that's like, I want to get back into dating, I've re-downloaded the apps, the first thing I want to say is, review how you're feeling with that. So if you're someone that downloaded the apps and is back on it and doing everything, do you feel excited by that? Do you feel optimistic about that? Do you feel neutral about that? Or do you feel really anxious about that? Do you feel really down about that? Do you feel really self-conscious? Are you feeling pressure? Like, are you thinking, oh, my mum asked me about my dating, so now I'm doing that because I guess I should find someone. So I would just take stock of your reasons for doing it. If it's more negative reasons than positive reasons, and you're not feeling that great, I would maybe at least limit how much you're on it. It doesn't mean you have to just suddenly delete the app. It just means maybe just pause, take stock, give yourself a break. Don't just be relentlessly on it, scrolling and matching with people and that kind of thing. Really meet yourself where you're at, as I keep saying, and be kind to yourself and compassionate towards yourself and think, actually, is this really what I want to do today? Is sit here on this app? And maybe the answer is yes. Maybe you've already got chatting to someone, or you're just feeling more positive about it and optimistic. Go with the flow of how you're feeling. You'll have the days where it feels great and the days where it doesn't feel so great, and you're allowed to adjust accordingly, rather than being so perfectionist about it of no, in order to meet someone I need to at least go on these apps for an hour every single day. You don't have to do that at all. The days where you can forget about it for once, there'll be the days where you're actually, I'm more inclined now. I've got the energy for this. I've got the energy to have small talk, the energy to update my photos, the energy to do whatever, talk to people. So definitely have a think about that. I would also encourage you to, just because it's dry January, not to isolate yourself too much. I'm guilty of this, that I'm already conscious of, because I know that I don't have any plans, as in big plans. I'm already in that isolation mode, and I think that's okay in a small way, that hibernation, not doing much, chilling at home, but I'm already conscious that I've not seen my friends in a while. So even today I've reached out to a couple of people just to go for food, work together, work from home together. Don't isolate yourself just because you're someone that doesn't want to date or everyone's doing dry January. Make sure you're still seeing people and getting social connection, because that is going back to healthy things in January, as well as the physical stuff like sunlight and fresh air. You also want to consider the connection as well, and seeing people and feeling that sense of community and not being as isolated. So it's all about balance, basically. The final thing that I want to talk about today then is the financial aspect of January. I think this is another big reason why January is a miserable month for a lot of people. It is tough financially. I know everyone's different. For the most part, a lot of people have to wait a long time to get paid, because they get paid early in December. So it has to stretch for a lot longer until they get paid at the end of January. I know that doesn't apply to every single person, but it applies to a lot of people. There's also a lot of spending over Christmas and New Year's on the food, on the gifts, on the socializing, on the outfits, hair, makeup, a lot of spending. There's a lot of socializing, there's a lot of drinking, there's a lot of food and gift giving, obviously. So going into January, it can really hit you and be quite stressful and a panicked feeling to look at your bank account and be really saddened and overwhelmed. So I want to really talk about some things to help with that. The first thing, going back to kind of letting go, is what's done is done. If you're looking at your bank account and thinking, I've spent so much in December, oh my God, really panicking. It's okay to have a panic, it's okay to let it out, but also we're here now. It's done. Perhaps you had a really good time. Don't beat yourself up. It is what it is. Bringing in a little bit of that energy to yourself, rather than, what have I done? What's wrong with me? Why have I done this? Panic. I'm sure you had a great time and the gifts that you gave were great and all of that. If there's anything that you can take back, clothes wise, have a think of that. Or gift receipts that you can get. Definitely review any money that you can get back. But in general, make peace with the fact that what has been spent has been spent. So now it's about looking forward and coping with January. So my main thing is to create a budget. So think of the essentials that you have to pay for this month. So bills, rents, utilities, your phone bill, anything that is essential, and put that in a spreadsheet against what you have in the account, making sure that that's covered. That needs to be the priority. And I also just think the act of breaking it all down It can be overwhelming in the process, but it's really, really useful and something that I'd recommend in general, to be honest, not just in January. Another thing to do this January is, as I said, it's this balancing act between saying no to things but not being isolated. I am doing this at the moment. I said before, but I've reached out to a couple of friends. With one friend, we're gonna look to go to a place that has a January deal on for food. So a place that has like 50% off, get a good deal. My other friend, it's a free activity because we're just sitting in her flat, working together for the day and catching up that way. Try and say no to things. If you're getting invited, I'm lucky, as I said, that my January is very empty. If you're someone that's like, I've got like 20 things going on, or like everyone's got a birthday this January, or I've been invited to all these different things, have a look at what you can say no to. Have a look at cheaper ways to do things. Really review what is essential. Like, okay, I have to go to this birthday because it's my best friend. But do you have to go to this other thing that you've been invited to? So really, really look deep into what you can say no to. You don't have to say yes to everything. And also, with still being socially active, look at free things you can do or how to reduce the costs significantly. I've not messaged 10 friends about doing food. I've messaged one, because that will probably be my limit for the month. It will be that one meal that's 50% off, great. Definitely don't go overboard with what we're bombarded with, which leads on to the next thing, which is January sales. So January sales, I'm sure you're like me and you're getting loads of emails about 50% off and we've got this sale on and this our biggest sale yet. And the biggest thing there is this is all obviously marketing and making the most of, perhaps people have got Christmas money, you know, they're really trying to get you basically. I am guilty of this. I've seen adverts on Instagram where I'm like, oh, that looks really good and that's a really good deal. Really be mindful. Don't make quick decisions. Don't click the button, like purchase. We can do it so quickly now. I bought something on Instagram in December and I couldn't believe how quickly I was able to buy it. It was like click, click. And because of like my Apple Pay, it was done. And I was like, oh, I've bought it now, I guess. There was no like, you know, the pages that you have to go through usually. There was none of that. So because of that, you have to really be conscious and think. There's also something about Instagram ads, I think, because they go quickly. So you feel like you have to make the most of it when you land on it, because you might not be able to find it again. You will be able to find it again. Like you can ask other people, you can Google it, you can take a quick screenshot. So don't fall into these traps. A good thing that I'd recommend is asking yourself if you really need it. Like, do you actually need it? I did this the other day with an outfit. I wanted to get something new for New Year's Eve. And I was like looking on ASOS and looking at all these different clothes sites. And then when I actually asked myself this question, because I'm trying to do it with every purchase, I was like, do I need this? It dawned on me that I already had a new dress that I hadn't worn yet, that I bought earlier in the month, that I'd again was a sucker for like an Instagram ad, bought it, haven't had the opportunity to wear it yet, that I'd completely forgotten about. And it was only when I like paused and was like, do I really need a new dress for New Year's Eve, that like it unlocked the memory that I already have a new dress. So really ask yourself, do I need this? Is this a priority for this month? Why do I want to buy this? Is it for other people? Again, that's a really good one. Am I wanting to buy this because it like looks good or it's on trend or I saw that my friend has it? Or is the reason that you actually like really need it and it is a priority? If the answer is yes, that you're buying it for the right reasons, that it's an investment, that it's for you, that you'll use all the time, that you'll really make the most out of, that it has nothing to do with comparison or other people, that you've thought about it for a few days, go for it. I'm not here to tell you to have one of these like no spend months or no spend years that very disciplined people are able to do. What I am encouraging you is pause, reflection, thinking about it and asking yourself those questions, and hopefully that will see you through and make you feel a bit more empowered in, again, what is quite a difficult month financially for a lot of people. So they're the main categories that I really wanted to talk about today. In summary, basically be kind to yourself, take it one day at a time, reduce comparison, reduce high expectations of yourself, reduce unrealistic goals, reduce unrealistic visions of yourself, meet yourself where you're at, create a realistic budget, create a realistic plan, focus on looking after yourself this January, focusing on building healthy habits. Don't be too isolated. Don't beat yourself up for what you should be doing, what you're not doing. Take each day as it comes. As I said, it is just another month. February will soon be here, and you can start again in February. This is the thing about monthly goal. It doesn't have to be a yearly goal, it can be a monthly goal. Really remembering that just because it goes a bit wrong in January, you can always do it again. If you're someone that wants to reduce your alcohol, but dry January just was never gonna happen because you feel really down and it's your way of socializing, or you've had some big events, maybe February is more of an opportunity. Or maybe it doesn't even have to be about a month and like this month I'm going to do it. That can be quite helpful for like a mindset, but maybe it's just about like, I want to cut it down. So I'm going to still see people and go on these nights out, but I'm just going to drink a bit less. I'm not going to pre-drink as much. I'm not going to buy loads of drinks when I'm out. I'm going to just pace myself a bit more. That's an amazing difference compared to maybe what you were at the year before. So have this dialogue with yourself rather than what we think all of this needs to look like when it comes to the new year. I hope everybody has a really good January. I hope that everyone has an okay January, or I hope that you just get through what can be quite a down few weeks or a bit of a month. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's given you food for thought. I hope it's motivated you, but in a way that feels more attainable and realistic and less sort of anxiety inducing. If you did find it helpful, if you did enjoy it, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. Feel free to comment down below what you're focusing on this year or this month or in life in general. It doesn't have to be narrow to this month or this year. Let me know what you're planning to work on or focus on or improve, or maybe your one word for the year. I'd love to hear everyone's different thoughts about January and about New Year and about how they're feeling at the moment. So please feel free to comment down below. As I said, please follow me on Instagram as well. I'd really, really appreciate the support over there. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.